All right, how are you guys doing? So this is Vernon Robinson. You're surrounded by his artwork currently. Name of the show is How I See What I Saw, and we're here just to kind of. We're not going to ask Vernon too hard of questions. We're just going to try to get a little insight into what his process is, into what what his artistic mind is, how long he's been doing this. Such kind of get a reach out onto what kind of brought him to all of this type of art. So first thing is, Vernon, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you came up with the name for the show and what it means in relationship to the artwork that you see?
Well, basically, everything you see has a meaning other than what you see. Mm-hmm. Like the piece over here, the apology. Well, it's not like an apology where you stepped on somebody's toe and said, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It's an apology of understanding that I really didn't know what you've been through. So I apologize for the way I've been, acting towards you because I didn't understand. So it's an apology of understanding. It's kind of how I see what I saw.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And I have some questions here for Vernon. We'll kind of open it up to you guys to ask questions here a little bit later. But I want to kind of delve into these a little bit here to kind of get some insight. So you've been described, Vernon, your artwork has been described as contemporary African Art Deco. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of define this term and how is it shown in your artwork?
Well, it's a long question, and it's a long answer for the question. Mm-hmm. Basically, ever since I was a little kid, I'm talking 7, 8, 9, mm-hmm. that kind of thing, always wanted to do work that kind of had a flavor of the continent, mm-hmm. continent of Africa. And so it's just the way I've gone through life, platform, but I always wanted to have the flavor of, Africa mm-hmm. in my work. The other part was African and then Deco, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and I've always been a fan of Deco, Art Deco.
Yep.
So they kind of merged with me in terms of what I do. And I guess the person that, a good friend of mine too, is a curator. And he coined my work African Deco.
It's a good fit. It definitely mm-hmm. is a good fit and good word for the relationship to the mm-hmm. art. It's an easier one for you. With over 40 years of experience in the arts, how has your creative process evolved over time?
Well, everything's like steps, mm-hmm. like anything else. You learn one thing, you make some mistakes in some things, and you just keep growing as you go along. Some of the things you see I've been doing ever since I was 8 years old. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I just build on top of that,
What is the oldest piece that you have here in the collection? What is the one with the most age on it?
A lot of these are real recent. Mm-hmm. I would imagine a piece right there.
The big long one?
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a couple of years old.
It's a couple of years old? Mm-hmm. Do you still feel satisfied with your earlier work? Or do you feel you do? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because it's always been that same desire to produce work that presents a certain,
I noticed with your work, it definitely has an evolution to different stages. Mm-hmm. As you can see, what different periods are for sure, as compared to this, which is definitely more mm-hmm. Contemporary and bright, but then you go to this, which is definitely has a little bit more of a, I don't want to say ethereal feel, but almost more geometric, almost stonish in a way,
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a difference in time of this kind of style and that. Are these newer or are you just making it simultaneously?
This piece right here is a month and a half, mm-hmm. maybe. And I just want to say something because I felt it. Mm-hmm. This is to honor an artist Her name is Esther Malangu, South African artist from the Ndebele Nation. And everybody in the village, actually, all the women adorn their houses, not like this, but they have symmetric work that they do around their dwellings. And so I just loved her story. She started when she's 87 now. She started when she was 10 years old. And there was something she wanted to do. And so her parents made her work in the back of the house, and then she graduated to the front of the house. And I think she was the first one in that village who actually did her work on canvas. But I think she was working for a gallery, like her job. And so she just took what she did at home and put it on canvas. And
so do they decorate their homes, or do they do the home stuff?
They decorate, like the guys build the houses, right? And the females decorate them.
So you mentioned that you feel joy and a necessity to create, and I've seen you. I mean, you're a prolific painter, just constantly painting, always creating. So can you elaborate on what drives this need to produce art?
Yeah, it's kind of easy, but I just believe God made me an artist. I was designed to be an artist, and I enjoy art unbelievably. Enjoy it.
Right.
And I just love the process. That's why I'm doing it so much. I just really, really enjoy the process of creating.
Do you find it as a fulfillment to try to show others your artwork, or is it more like a fulfillment so that you feel like you're getting something out for yourself as well, or is it kind of both?
It's dual.
Yeah.
I want to produce work that people find interesting and enjoy, and just find joy in my work. But I enjoy the process. I really do.
If you paint a piece, say 20 years ago, and you see it now, do you feel the need to leave it be, or would you feel the need to bring it more into what you're currently doing, or do you let your pieces live in the period that you're creating?
I love the period that they're in. But I didn't actually start painting with a paintbrush and paints until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
So I was a pencil, pen and ink, and all of those, areas have their own uniqueness. So I would want them to. I appreciate all of it. Matter of fact, I was looking at some pen and inks today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
can you give a brief description, kind of what your process is, maybe from conception of an idea to actually full creation of a piece, just like a basic synopsis of how it kind of arrives from one to the other?
Okay. The beginning process is always a thumbnail sketch, and I might do 5 thumbnail sketches. All of the sketches have dual purposes. In other words, it can be a sculpture, it can be a painting. It has opportunities to put wherever I want it to go. So I really anyway, that's the starting point. That's the foundation, and then I decide once whether I want it to be a painting, or if I wanted to be a wall sculpture, or whatever I want it to be. At that point, I start, and then I'll figure it out. Like I'm working on a wall sculpture now, which could easily be a painting.
So how do you know when you're done with a piece? Is it an intrinsic feeling that you have? Is it that you just realize, or is there a hard stop? You're like, I don't want to continue this anymore because then I feel it's going to be detrimental to the piece. Is there
when I'm happy? When I'm happy.
When you're happy? Yeah. Let's see. So this is kind of in relationship to that last question. Your work spans various media, including painting and sculpture, as we were discussing, and wall sculpture as well. How do you decide what medium to use for that particular piece or idea? What is your deciding point? What is it that makes you finally pick a direction, be like, this is what this will be?
That's kind of interesting. Because I'm never working on one piece at a time.
Right.
So I don't have to like choose and pick. If I'm working on sculpture over here, I started on the sculpture.
Yeah.
I'm going to start on the painting over here and something over there. So I'm usually working on at least 2 or 3 paintings and not more at the same time.
Right.
It's according to what the process is.
Right.
But how do you distinct from the thumbnail to what medium you use? What
How do
does it
yeah.
make?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's according to how I feel at the time. I can see the sketch and I say, dog, I'd sure like to make that a paint. And that's basically my process. And so that's what I'll do. And then I might look at the sketch while I'm working on the paint and say, dog, that sure would make a nice sculpture. So I'll do them both. It's just my process. It's just how this works.
That's a great way to make it work. So if you're working on a piece, do you have pieces that will sit there for an extended amount of time and just kind of just marinate and just you won't touch? Or when you start something, are you committed to like trying to get, let's say if you're working on 2 or 3 at a time, are you trying to get just those 2 or 3 done? Or again, will one just like kind of sit in the background for maybe a long time before you actually come back to it?
Well, the only reason something would sit in the background if I'm not happy.
The unresolved then. Yeah.
So basically I'll let that sit because I'm going to work it out at some point in time. But that's the only reason that anything will sit.
Okay.
Everything else is, I'm on
That
it.
was on this piece too, right? That was one piece.
Yeah, I really wanted to know how to say what it was saying. And I don't like long titles. And so I knew what was going on, but I didn't know how to say it. And I just made it simple, the apology. And the thing is, I have to explain it, possibly, but that was the best I could do with a title. But I knew what it was saying.
So you kind of depend maybe on what the media or the medium is saying to you, as well as you deciding a particular direction. So it's almost a symbiotic relationship between you and the actual object that it will become, or whatever else, like a relationship in a way.
Absolutely.
Very nice. Very cool. What advice would you give to emerging artists trying to find their own place in the art world? Anybody that's trying to kind of make their name known, what would you, with your vast years of experience, what would you tell them?
Well, it's 2 things. Discovery and work. Work is the most important. Discovery is when you're real young and you want to be involved in art, but there's so many areas. There's glass, there's sculpture, there's pottery. I mean, there's all kind of things. And I would say, dabble to see what place you actually feel the most joy out of.
Right.
The rest of it is work.
Is it a requirement of a young artist to maybe try experiments in completely different ways, just to kind of, so it's not necessarily always what you think that you like. Sometimes it's an experimentation of things that you don't even realize that you should try or that you might not like.
That's it. That's exactly it. And then the rest of it, like I say, is work. Just work. That's what brings everything to light. You discover stuff and work. Work is just.
He's not kidding about the work. I go into the studio and he's been there since 6 a.m. And I come rolling in at like noon and it's like, it's like, you've been here all day already. So yeah, you are a worker. Definitely are a worker. As a longtime member of the African Americans for the Arts, how has the community influenced your growth and development as an artist?
Well, that's what they did, actually.
Yeah.
They taught me how to be a professional artist. They showed me how to display my work. They were always, helping in so many ways. Right now, all of it don't come to mind, but I know that once I started in the organization, we had opportunities to show our work, explain our work. So it gave us, some confidence in our work. And I had opportunity to show work, doing adjudication shows. I was able to place. So that gave me a lot of confidence. It was just, and then the camaraderie, I guess, was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Getting to know artists and
the feed off the community itself. Yeah, makes sense. Do you have anybody in particular that you would have found in that community that was a direct mentor, or somebody that was like a bright spot of influence over maybe other people in particular?
No, it was the community.
It was a community in general. Yeah. Awesome. How do you integrate your spiritual beliefs and cultural heritage into your artwork? How do you intertwine the two?
Well, my spiritual relationship is foundational to everything that I actually do. Because I know that God gave me the ability to be an artist. I haven't always understood it, but I knew it.
Right.
So that's foundational. My relationship with Him gave me the freedom to be me. Because there was a period, I guess during my 20s, I wanted to do what everybody else was doing, because I figured that's what you had to do to be an artist.
Right.
And, but it wasn't enjoyable.
Right.
And there was a point where I just realized that I just have to be who God made me and not somebody else. So it's foundation. Plus the relationship is cool because I can ask questions.
Right.
Believe it or not, and I get answers.
Oh, that makes sense. Do you sometimes feel like you have something working through you, almost like as if you were like a vessel? Is that as if it's not necessarily just you moving the paint? Do you feel symbiotic, not just with the piece, but like does your spiritual mindset also kind of help you decide where things are going to go, or does it feel like you have help in that direction?
I do. I think it's actually more in the reverse of things that I shouldn't be doing, more than things that I need to be doing. I have the freedom to do stuff,
right?
But there are certain things that actually don't work or don't fit,
right?
And I kind of get a unction in those areas. But then I get influence when I'm trying to actually figure out something, and I can ask,
right?
And I get the answer of how to proceed or that kind of thing.
Let's see. I had one really good one in here. Sorry, I'm like reading through all these. So it says, you mentioned that you feel both a joy and the necessity to create. Actually, you know what? Forget that question. Yeah, I said that one. Yeah, I thought I marked it. Well, why don't you tell me, like, is there any forms of art that you see out there right now that are relatively new, maybe within the past few years, that you're finding maybe inspirational or something that is actually influence you a little bit, something that's come around the corner that maybe you saw was unexpected?
Not yet, but I'll answer questions like this. I love art, right? And I appreciate art. So, and I understand the things that artists go through. So it's kind of like jazz musicians. When they're playing, a lot of the work, it seems like they're playing for musicians rather than the general public.
Right.
And I can see and sense what other artists are going through. And I love all kinds of art. I don't necessarily want to do it, but I just appreciate stuff. So anything that's even coming new, like I saw a couple of things on AI, and it's striking, vibrant, but it don't have it don't have anything in it that kind of let you know that somebody's trying to express something. To me, it just don't.
So that's interesting. So that kind of segues from the previous question. this is something that, as all of us artists kind of deal with AI coming through, what are your thoughts on seeing more and more of this AI artwork coming out? Do you feel that it's detrimental to the art world, or do you feel that it's going to push traditional fine art into a better and different direction?
Well, let me answer it like this. I used to be a draftsman, right? I learned how to work on the board,
right?
Create designs, details, all that kind of stuff. I have a daughter who's an architect, and she's used CAD all her life. I enjoyed being a draftsman because you can make things happen,
right?
You know, I think it changed the whole dynamic of that particular field. I haven't talked to her specifically about how she sees it. But I don't know if you see the creative process as a designer of homes, buildings, whatever, the same way. I don't, because you are really involved with all of the details.
Right.
But if a computer is doing it, I don't know how you think, how you feel. You know?
Right.
I'm a slide rule guy. I came through that era. Some y'all don't know what slide rule. But that was the computer before it was a computer. It was just, or a calculator, not necessarily a computer, but it was a calculator. And we did things a certain way. When the calculators came into being, you didn't have to figure stuff out. You just, and there it is.
Right.
So I can't answer whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know. It'll be different in terms of the approach if the artist is not personally involved. That, you know, for thousands of years, there's always been artists, people who are creating, painting, all kinds of stuff, and they interacted with it.
Right.
I don't know what that's like. I don't know the process, first of all, of AI. Whether you just, I don't know how that works, but it's the involvement has to be different.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. It definitely is. It is different, and it's something that we all have to deal with. I mean, it's here, so you know, it's an interesting perspective. Tell us more about the asymmetrical visual rhythms in your work and how they relate to traditional Western African wood carved paintings.
It's all about balance, I guess. I'll point to this. Esther Malongu, her work is symmetrical, right? But the painting inside, you know, the design is symmetrical,
right?
But she'll change the painting, right? She'll have blue over here and brown over here. It's the designs are the same on both sides, and I think, you know, people want balance like I do. I love balance. There's balance over there, but it's asymmetrical. The difference, I think, with you said African panels?
Yeah, African wood carved panels.
Well, that's the deal. They're wood carved and mine's a painting. So I guess the desire to present something, plus a lot of the work they do over there is more than just adornment. You know, they have messages. It's all kind of things that's involved, which I don't actually know. But I know it's more than just a product. Where I try to produce a product, you know, a painting, something like that. But some have messages,
right?
Others don't.
Do you like to state your messages all the time in your paintings, or do you prefer for the viewer to have some sort of like latitude to come up with their own idea?
I guess it's according to what let me see how I can put that. Actually, the straight answer is some of my work is just that, and some of it I have some kind of narrative, something I want to say. Like back there, I think the story of a seed. Actually, what you see up here is what's inside the seed. So the whole thing is about potential. Well, I'd have to explain that, I guess. But I don't know how to say that in the title.
Mhm.
So I just said the story of
Makes
a seed.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is so? Tell me, what was your thought process between? So on the other side of the wall here is your what if series.
Mm-hmm.
Explain kind of what that is, and how is it different than what we're seeing in the large room here.
Well, I'm working off of sketches, like I said, the thumbnail sketches on these pieces, so I kind of know where I'm going.
Right.
Right. On the what if pieces, it's just that. What if I do this? And then I say, well, what if I do that? And it builds basically off of what if.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And when I'm happy, that's when I'm finished.
Are you always completely content with the what if pieces, or some of them is like, well, this is maybe not like I'm the happiest with this one, but as part of the process, do you like showing the process with the what if pieces, or are all of them like fully resolved, like 100%?
Well, the ones you see are fully resolved,
mm-hmm.
but I'm not a quitter. I can't quit on a piece.
Right.
So if I don't like what's happening, I'll just do something else with it.
Right.
But I don't have any pieces that's going to get away from me.
Right.
I'm going to do something
so
with
you need
it.
to collect them all up.
There's
no stragglers.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Outside of painting,
mm-hmm.
what else do you find inspiration, or what do you enjoy outside of painting?
Wife, children, family, and just having fun.
Just in general, just life in general.
I guess my deepest inspiration is with God. I spend time reading, praying, listening. Mm-hmm.
It's obviously, as we were talking, it's a major influence in the art itself. It's very, you can see that. So your work is part of a permanent collection at the Hammond House Museum, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel to have your art recognized and preserved in such a significant institution?
It goes without saying. I'm humbled, that they accepted my work. They just, they liked the work, which was fantastic to me to know that they appreciated my work. And so I'm just overjoyed to have my work there.
So, kind of a segue from that particular question, let's say 100 years from now, what do you want people to say, and what do you want people to see with your art? What do you hope that your art can reach people in a way, in 100 years? What is it you want it to say to people?
I guess what I wanted to say now, people would have to tell me, but I just want people to enjoy my work. They find it something that they want to hang out with, to be in their dwelling, something that they really enjoy. The narrative pieces, I would want them to understand it, so I guess I have to start writing that, which I haven't done. Yeah, but because I think I have some things to say. I think that piece right there is probably one of the deeper things I wanted to say. Because I think people go through life, if I can.
Oh yeah.
Not really understanding the life journey of a person, and they assume that the person is at the point they are right now when they meet them.
Yeah.
That's been their whole life. They've always been that person.
Right.
But they've gone through stuff that nobody actually knows. And so you act a certain way, you say certain things, and you assume that it works for where they are right now.
Right.
And you don't know that some of the things you're saying is damaging or hurtful or whatever the impact is. And I think when you have an opportunity or take the time or whatever happens to learn that people's journey,
Mhm.
you know, has an effect on their life even now. And when you recognize that and you have the humility to apologize,
Mhm.
you know, for not knowing how stuff impacted them.
Right.
I want to do more things like that. Or even, the story with seed. Because there's potential in every person that's walking on the planet. Every person. I think God gave everybody, gives talents and abilities. And everybody don't get the opportunity to participate in the gifts and talents that they have, for whatever reason. And of course, that's a loss for them and us, because we never know what's in the person. But anyway, I'd like to say more stuff like that. And I guess that's getting to, over time. And that's where I see myself now.
Yeah.
Is not only doing the work, but, saying a few things that I've learned along the way of got to think about.
Right.
And realize. I guess that's a better word. And realize along the way. So I'd love to be able to do more of that.
Amazing. So we've kind of centered around this particular piece a couple of times. So what is the significance of this particular one? What brought you to this point? And is this your paramount piece right now? One that is no.
Well, I wanted to show the drama, and because in life there's stuff,
right?
And I tried to put that in this piece, the drama and what have you. And I guess there's one other thing. The young lady that the male figure is kind of holding and comforting is the female figure over there. And the little male filler image that the female is comforting is him.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of, once it's understood, the apology is both ways, because both of them are understanding things that they may not have understood before, and it's making a difference. I mean, once a person, I believe, know that you care and that you understand what they're, been through and that kind of thing,
right?
And you're careful enough to recognize that and understand that. So it was a big deal for me on this piece, because it took me a few days to kind of figure out how to put in words what I was.
Well, that insight to that piece, I think, makes it even more prevalent. It makes it even more of a statement now. I personally really enjoy that one quite a bit. I really do. So I want to give you guys a chance to ask Vernon some questions here. So just who do we have? Any questions for him in particular?
Kelly? I have a question about your color choices, because they're so beautiful, and I can't stop looking at this one just behind Alicia, the vertical one. But there's so many colors there, and they're so beautiful together. When you start painting, do you know before you even start what colors are going to be on that canvas, or is it more a journey?
It's a journey.
Do you lean more one way? It seems like you do love earth tones, and that you do love like the sepias and the browns and stuff. Is it tend to generally lean that way? Although, I mean, obviously these are different.
No, I just love color.
Yeah.
And it's according to the piece what I want it to feel like. And I love doing my own color, mixing, and of course what we all do. And I just enjoy. I guess when I say I enjoy the process, I enjoy the whole thing. Everything.
Yeah, it's amazing to come to the studio. Mixing his colors, layers on. He goes to the next piece and then he puts the layers on. It's like, I love going into the studio, and I always open my door and I leave it open because all the energy comes It's amazing.
It is like almost like an energy wind in the studio sometimes, 'cause especially when all of us are all in there. It's you know, even though it does get about 1,000 degrees.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel it. So, do we have any other questions for Vernon? Yes.
Are these ones that have to me more curves in them? Are these earlier pieces?
No, actually, they're recent. They're recent. Yeah, they're like in the last few months. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So you're simultaneously making work that is deeper, has more deeper, richer color and more vibrant, brighter color at the same time. It's like this isn't earlier, this is later. They're happening at the same time in your studio.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost not like you have periods. It's almost like you're just like you're having different personalities to each painting.
Well, it's according to what I'm doing. This is really to honor somebody.
Esther.
I don't duplicate her work, so this is not what she does. But she's an interesting person to kind of look up. I think. Yeah.
Did you know her?
No, during the pandemic, when we were on lockdown, that just happened. I had seen her work years ago. BMW does an art car every year. And she did one year, I think in 1991 or somewhere in that era. And I was so struck by the work. And then when I discovered her on YouTube, I think, that's all I could do was look at stuff back then. And I just saw her work. I, saw her story and, how she was discovered and all kind. I'm not going to take you through all that. But yeah, but anyway, and so I was inspired by her story as much as her work, and then I wanted to do something that would kind of relate. So I just kind of, I guess, borrowed, not really, but anyway. Yeah. I just wanted to do something that showed respect to her because I really was enthralled with her story.
With the seed collection now, they're definitely more organic. Is there a difference why you went to more organic?
Well, actually, that's an earlier style, and I just brought it back. I love organic work anyway, but it was just the only way I could show the potential. It's like unlimited potential, and I could show it organically, I think. Real good friends. They go back to way back. No, they were a lot younger than me. They were a lot younger.
Let's see. So, this is a question we didn't hit yet. How did your trip to Ghana and the discovery of, and forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, is it a can naming traditional?
Anka. But basically what they say is day name, right? I was staying at a church over there, kind of bread and breakfast kind of thing. And it was this young fellow, we would talk every morning. He did the breakfast. And I don't know how we got onto this conversation about day names, but I knew I was born on Friday. So he told me my name would have been Kofi. Now the way the day, D-A-T, name work is when you're born on a certain day of the week, you're given a name. I don't remember all of them, I remember mine. And the family look at you for a year. And after a year, they give you your given name. But you always have the day name. Kofi Annan at the UN. He's from Ghana.
Oh,
He was born on Friday.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's
Well, that makes sense because if you guys notice, every piece in here is signed with Kofi on it.
Yeah.
Yep, every one of them.
Yeah, I just adopted it, and it kind of gives me a connection.
And that's good you said it because at the opening, I had a few people ask me, and that was one thing I did not have an answer for because it's like I had not got to ask you what that was.
You know, some people have a stamp or a seal.
Yeah.
Well, Kofi is my stamp or seal.
How long were you in Ghana?
Oh, what? First time I went with my wife. We were there for 2 weeks, and I went a couple of more times, but I was just there for a week at a time.
Was it influential in your artwork? Did it change your perspective in the art going there?
Well, no. Well, it was in the sense of just being in the surroundings and everything. But the reason I went, the first time with my wife and myself is we just went to hang out. You know, I think was it the anniversary, babe? Yeah, it was the anniversary. So we went for our anniversary. We always wanted to go to the continent, so we did. But the other 2 times, I was hanging out with a missionary. That's why I was staying at the church. But that's what it was for, just, missionary stuff.
Nice. So religion has been part of your life, your entire life, correct?
Not my entire life.
No.
Well, let me put it like this. There's knowing about religion, and then there's the accepting of religion, accepting Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior of your life. So that's a difference, you know.
Right.
So did I answer that? Or
I think you did.
Okay.
You did answer that. So, do you guys have any other questions for Vernon?
I do.
Yes.
I know when you were talking about this piece, dog, is it the apology? And I was thinking about how you were explaining it wasn't just about an apology, it's about somebody understanding somebody else's point of view. So your judgment may be different, or your assessment of them may be different.
Well, it's not so much the point of view, is the journey in life. You know, a person can start out being a pauper, never had enough food or whatever, or been bullied. I mean, all kinds of stuff. People go through stuff, right? But now they're vice president of Chase Manhattan, right? Well, the people that they're rubbing shoulders with assume that they've always been that person, right? And so you might be, around people who talk about those rotten, poor folks, dirty enough, whatever people say, right? They don't know that was you. You know what I'm saying? And it impacts you. It impacts that person. And I think that when a person recognizes that and apologizes, not for, like I say, stepping on their toe, but not knowing and not understanding, they apologize. Now I understand. I think that's what I'm saying. So it's a deeper thing.
And when you do a work that's that deep and that specific to you, and an observer, somebody comes and they look at the painting and they come up with something kind of frivolous, how does that affect the artist?
It used to affect, not this piece or recently, but it used to affect me quite a bit. When a person says that, oh, I like this piece that matched my drapes. That used to be kind of offensive, but I've gotten over that now because it actually means something to them. It matched their drapes, and they obviously like the piece enough to want to use it to match their drapes. So,
I think that comes into being an artist and somebody you feel like they should maybe see everything that you put into it and what the meaning is behind it, and some people just don't see it right away, and what we feel sometimes oversimplifies something. But yeah, you're right. Like they have their own reasons for wanting it, and I guess you just learn to accept that or you understand it.
Yeah.
What's the
I see in that piece where you use figures.
Mm-hmm.
At a glance, it is the only piece with figures
Mhm.
in it.
Mhm.
Tell me about the relationship between, although within the figures,
Mhm.
I see a lot of the patterns. Can you talk about the relationship of
Mhm.
how you use figures and how this influences that? And when do you use figures, or is it when you have a specific message
Mhm.
that you start to introduce some elements of realism?
Well, I always feel like I have and I think all artists do, a creative personality. So we have our personality that we put in our work, and it don't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're going to show up in one form or another. People will know, oh, that's this guy, or it looks like this guy if it's not. And so I can't escape being me, whether I have figures or images or just graphics, or it's just my creative personality, I think. Uh,
Was there, in the creation of this particular piece, did you know right off the bat that you wanted figures to be involved, or was it something that kind of just
well, the
organically
figures were first.
The figures were first.
The figures were, they were actually first.
Was that even before color selection? You already knew right off the bat.
Yeah, the figures were there. Now they came in last, but they were actually first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you used figures in many of your other pieces in the past?
Over time.
All the time, yeah.
Well, over time.
Over time, I guess. Over time, sorry. How much of this in the gallery here represents of your collection? I've seen your studio. It's I think we're only looking at maybe 20% of what you actually have.
Yeah, I don't even know what all I have. It'd be nice if this was sold out so I could have some space.
Work on that.
Yes, yes, I agree. Oh, do you guys have any other questions for Vernon?
Well, I'll talk a lot, so yeah.
Go ahead.
When I go back to this piece, and I just heard how you described it, and I was just thinking about the flip side of it. Like you saying, somebody might not know this person went through all of this, but you see this person up here now. I know it's a phrase out now that they say when you meet somebody and maybe they're acting out, instead of saying what's wrong with him, the question in your mind should possibly be what happened to him. You know, and it made me think of that, on that side when the apology, like maybe if I knew what happened to you, I would understand the behavior that I'm not particularly pleased with. That's what it kind of made me think of.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry, but I understand now. Yeah, life is full of different kind of things like that I think we don't necessarily address, because you have to have a heart and a mind that lends itself to considering other people. And human beings, we kind of consider ourselves first. And that's okay, because you got to take care of yourself and that kind of thing. But I think for a more understanding approach to other people, I think society would be a heck of a lot better, because I don't know what people are going through, and you assume all kinds of stuff, and you don't have a clue. Yes, ma'am.
The vivid colors, pictures, very
Subdued kind of thing going on. Yeah.
So is that a mood that as you approach it?
Well, I want to accomplish a mood like that in this piece, because I want to say what I want to say. this piece, it was honoring somebody else. So I wanted to not necessarily duplicate what they did or do, because they're still doing it. She's 87. Did I tell y'all that? She's 87 years old. And she's still doing it. But I just wanted to kind of show respect for somebody who gone through stuff and started as a little kid in a village, and now she's world renowned. She's doing work right here recently all over the planet. I mean, she's in galleries all over the place, and so she's renowned. But you never would have guessed. I mean, she probably never thought she would. And so it's just to see a person. Name is Esther. I keep saying that, but because it's meaningful.
Yes.
But a person that didn't have a clue, but their gift made a way for them. And so that, and whatever God gives a person, whatever mechanic, cook, engineer, janitor, it can make a way for you, and you could blow up like she is, So I guess that's why I really want to, show respect to her.
You said she's 87,
Mm-hmm.
but you have not. You said you had never had a chance or an opportunity to meet her. Right?
No.
Have you always been a fan of the work, or have you always been inspired by the work?
Maybe the last 5 years.
Did you know of her before the last 5 years? She said.
When I saw that car, I didn't know her. But I was just impacted by the car, because I don't know. Anybody ever seen those BMW art cars? You've seen them. So it's basically abstract expressionists, right? Starting out, those guys. And then hers was so, it was just cut and dry design, vibrant colors. Have you seen her car? You haven't? And so it was so different. And I was impacted by that. And it had a flavor of the continent. So, but I didn't know who she was. And then when I got a chance to see her, I was just amazed, like a little 10-year-old who couldn't paint, and they put her behind the back of the house to paint so people wouldn't see the work. Mm-hmm.
The story is very cool.
It's so great that you can find always somebody new and then get inspired and appreciate.
Yeah.
But you said 5 years, and you've been an artist 40 years. Right?
Oh, better than that.
Oh,
I started. I started out a long time ago. Actually, long time ago.
I was thinking you're my age too.
Do we have any other questions for Vernon? Well, it's Vernon, it's been an honor to have you displayed here in our gallery. We've had nothing but people like having not just compliments, but just inquiring, inquisitive about the work, and it's very unique. We're not seeing anything else like that around here, so we're very happy to have you.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to show.
Absolutely.
I'm very grateful for that.
Very much.
And thank you guys for coming in today to hear me talk. I appreciate it. Good friends, longtime friends.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing what new stuff that you've got, because I know you're just going to go back and be painting probably tomorrow.
Well, I probably won't get back into the studio until Wednesday.
Okay, so he's going to wait till Wednesday.
Be doing.
It's fine.
But,
yes, an anniversary. He's going to celebrate.
So, well, again, it was a pleasure having you here, and thank you guys for all coming out and asking Vernon the questions. We still have his work up for until Saturday. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So spend the go ahead, guys. Look through, look at the art. You can ask him more personal questions, obviously, and then you can ask us any questions as well. So thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.